Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to RaceFace Round 3 of the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series. My name is Stephen Koenig, and welcome to the lovely track in Messino. But we also have a special guest coming in racing. Now, for many times, I've called him the rookie, just to find out he's raced in RaceFace's past. Certainly me, old age getting to me. But we have got our pro driver joining us in the commentary box tonight. Put your hands together for Tian Ilov. Tian, welcome to the commentary box and welcome to a very, very wet Messino, which you've been practicing out, and we're going to see some racing going and having a bit of fun as well.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here with you in the commentary box. It's a very tricky circuit, this one. Mazzano in the wet with the curbs on braking. Turn one's going to be a mess. Hopefully we keep it clean. I'm looking forward.
It's going to be a great one. I think we're in for a stellar race, and considering the competition that's out there, we're in for a bit of an exciting one. So, at the moment, Dino here leading out the pack. Now, we've got to talk about the championship standings. And Tian, you've actually got the championship standings in front of you that, well, is looking pretty close. After the likes of Monza, which for some is one to forget, others, like Johan Blicknote, is ones to remember. Take us through who is sitting where in the championship.
So in first we have Daniel de Villiers with 82 points, leading Christoph Petersen with 64 points, and Gerrit Bierkes with 60 points. And not far off is Van der Walt with 55, and then Dean Norkier with 53. So it's a close one, this one. I'm not gonna lie.
Considering we have got quite a stack field. Now, the battle seems to also be going between PWSR, Omnius Gaming, and Logistical Nightmare Racing at current we've seen. But not to take out, Gerrit Bierkes has been on a almighty charge of late and put himself into a huge battle going in our Thursday series. So good to see him. He's currently running in 11th. For anyone that does know what happened at Monza, well, for the likes of Gerrit, is what he's wanting to avoid at this point. So we'll see how things challenge out there. But that being said, we will get ready to have a bit of fun. So, as our drivers making their way around, just trying to sort out the stream, there should be a bit better now in terms of lag, so it should be a little bit better. Please correct me if it's getting a little bit better. So while our crowd is going and taking a look on the stream, it should be better. Okay, there we go. Seems like a Discord issue is that, so we'll rectify it as well. Tian, with the likes of Messino, it's a difficult circuit, rain, and all the battle that goes in. What is your thoughts on what the drivers need to do around Messino to ensure that they can keep an easy time?
Well, in the rain, in the wet conditions, it's the best to not make mistakes. Mistakes is probably our worst enemy. With braking on the curbs, it's an enemy. It's an enemy for the drivers today. If you brake on the curbs, you lose the rear. Same with that happened to me in Donington. Once you lose it, you're just a passenger. So I think the biggest thing for the drivers now is to manage their mistakes and keep it low.
All right. Well, while we're sorting out a little bit, and we've got Tim, the cameraman, working around. I know Tian's getting his eyes put on, and Tian, I see there's a couple of messages come through for you through our Discord as well. Dean Norkier out in first place, Brandon Kruger in second place, Johan Blicknote running in third at current as he tries to put the power down and really break away from it. Fourth place is Gerrit Bierkes along with Daniel de Villiers down in fifth. The Nissan GTR just not finding the grip, but it looks like it's going to be a very strong run for the Ford Mustang. Dean Norkier lying with the little Italian stallion little bit further down as well. So definitely a bit of a tough time out there. Getting reports though that we have got a couple of drivers that are unfortunately not getting a good time out there, and that is Tyler Humphries saying that he is going and battling. Herman Protocol though, want to keep an eye out for, and one I wanted to really showing the cancer signs on there. Herman showing support, a fight against cancer and with ladies with cancer. So wearing the pink, and great to see him going and showing the support there. Love to see, and a lot of it goes down to the families getting involved and friends being into it as well. So let's see how this race is going to go. Christoph Peterson down in 7th position. Had a really rough Monza, so he's trying to get himself sorted. Johan Verveers going and making his way through. Paul Wolfenter, unfortunately, down in 9th place. Ruben van der Walt of the Pandacity team have a great time out on the circuit. The Pandacity team been hard at work to pick up the pace. Chris Collison in 11th position with Henk Petersen in 12th. Jeffrey LaRue running in 13th and Henry Plutt running in 14th position. Bit of a stealth look compared to his usual teammates. Richard van Heerd going to be out on the track racing to the top as ever. Also getting himself ready for this weekend. He's going to be participating in a 4-hour endurance race at Swartkorps. And when I had a chat to him, he said, well, the reason he's doing the sim is it gives him the practice to make sure that he's ready for the circuit. So good to see it out there. Getting, well, rainy conditions, which we're having here in Joburg. Chris Biermesser a little bit further down, 16th, 17th is Dion van Skalkweg. Then we got Oratel, also Gile, I do apologize if I got that wrong. Ratley running in 18th. 19th is Jason Farmer. Brandon Santos in 20th. 21st, Sheldon Agallis. And Ricardo a little bit further down in 22nd position. So we do have a couple of drivers going and giving it their absolute all at current, ensuring that they can get into the fight. But time is running out, 4 minutes. De Villiers leads out the charge with a 1 minute 39.1. Incredibly quick around the circuit, and only 0.0 ahead, well, 0.077 ahead of Johan Blickno. Kruger in 3rd place, not able to get that pace up. I mean, this is a monster run. Tian, you've been out on the track with those conditions out there. It is monsoon for a number of these drivers. Do you feel that the pace that's being put in, from what I'm seeing, is absolutely through the roof and incredible by our drivers?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. You can see how close the top 3 is. I mean, it's 1.135 seconds. So they're definitely pushing the limits in every corner. So where they just can manage that small and minor mistakes, it's gonna determine who's on pole. Everybody's too close to the side.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible, and it's nice to see the teams all having a fight. So, at the moment, Nissan GTR leads out the pack with the likes of the Ford Mustangs running 2nd and 3rd. Front engines seem to be winning this fight. Mid-engines, like Dean Nokia, seems to be losing a little bit of time. 0.2 off the pace, puts himself into 2nd just to prove me wrong, and is 0.042 off the back of Daniel De Villiers. Incredible pace on that side. And just when I thought the front engines may have the leg up on all the mid-engines based on the Honda of Herman, the likes of Jean Treffiers, Paul Fenter, Ruben van der Walt, well, Dean Nokia going and firmly kicking that in the teeth and putting in a super time. I think with the PWSR 1-2, it's a great lockout, but the question is, teammates, can you work together in a championship like this? 45 minutes of sprint racing, championship points on the line. Are you really going to back off for your mates? That's a different story. I know for myself, Tian, I would say let's go racing. Tian, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the front, mid-engine and rear-engine drive cars, I just picked up the top 5 are in 5 different cars, so it's not a major advantage for any specific driver for the championship so far. It may differ from today's race depending on how they set up in the wet days. Strategy is also going to be a big part of this, because who knows if it stops raining, and then if you decide to go on wets or stay on dries, or stay on dries and go on wets. It's gonna be one for the history books.
Well, 25 degrees track temperature, and I don't see this rain coming off any more. Derek Buick's currently running his fastest, but unfortunately loses out through that last corner, just not able to carry the momentum needed. Henry Platt running 0.5 of a second up in 11th position. Jeffrey LaRue running in 12th is 0.1 up on his time. Jason Farmer is running 0.3. He's in 14th position, along with Chris Collison in 16th is 0.1 up on his time. So a couple of drivers are starting to get a little bit more pace underneath him. Jason Farmer being one of those, as he's slipping out of that top 10. He's got to really keep the fight up to try and keep ahead of Jeffrey LaRue, Chris Collison, and Chris Biermeister. But once again, Brandon Kruger putting an impact to the PWSR team and is fighting it out. Let's go back a little bit. So far, Brandon Kruger is yet to cross the line in the sprint series with fuel. He's run out of fuel each and every time, just unfortunately not able to get it across the line, with De Villiers and Nortje so close to him and his teammate running in 4th, having to deal with the likes of Herman in 5th, Christoph Peterson in 6th. Herman now puts himself into 2nd, absolutely quick for the Apex Track Titans. I mean, wow, oh wow, that's come out there. And Herman has really been that wild card, throwing himself into 2nd. Will Dean Nortje be able to move his way up, or will he be stuck next to the likes of De Villiers? He puts himself into 2nd, getting ahead of Herman, but not by much. That 138.985 of Brandon Kruger is desperately hanging in the wings here. Jason Farmer and Chris Collison, as Chris comes across the line, he gets 10th place. Jason Farmer down into 11th, wasn't able to improve. Henry Platt still out on the track, and the likes of Makendo coming around the circuit. He gets across the line. He will hold that 19th position. Henry Platt on his way around. Our final car to take the flag to see where he's going to go. Slides out of the corner, compromise his time. I think he's going to have to be quite comfortable in that 13th position as he comes across the line. Is he able to better his time though? Not quite the case. So a couple of drivers unfortunately not able to move up, but some very, very close racing towards the front. Tion, I've got to say, this is going to be exciting considering Brandon Kruger, the likes of Dean Nortje, they know each other rather well. De Villiers knows the three rather well. But the wild card of them all, Herman Privical up into 3rd. I mean, this is a driver for the first time in RaceFace history is sitting on the top spots here in the sprint series. What is your thoughts on this?
No, I'm very impressed with it. If you look at Ben Creer and Nortje, they both are familiar with the 1st and 2nd position, with Nortje winning the last normal GT3 sprint series race. It's massive for him. I mean, this just shows you the talent and skill of the drivers in the wet. And in the wet, usually skill is more important than setup. So I'm very impressed with him.
Fair enough. I'm now looking outside the window and rechecking with Tim, the cameraman. Don't know about you, the track temperature 28 degrees and, well, forgot to helmet. A little bit cloudy, but I don't see any reason for a windscreen wiper. Conditions changed out from the usual rain that one would think that people have practiced on. Well, a bit of random weather came in and we got some sunshine. What does this mean for the driver? I mean, Tian, you're going to be racing tomorrow night and seeing the conditions changing from qualifying in the wet that is drenched to sitting in the dry. What does this mean for your setups and your mentality going forward?
So it's you need to be very careful with your decisions on your strategy, with especially your tires, and just focus on the track. I mean, if you brake just once on the curb where it's too wet, or if you take the risk of maybe I can go for it, and you go wide, you lose 15 plus positions. I mean, so for one to take risk is greater for this race, and for the front runners, it's going to add extra pressure, because who knows, someone at the back is taking risk they can't afford. So what do you think about the strategy development for the drivers that have nothing to lose?
Well, at the moment, with no pit stops required in this race, I think we're in for a bit of fun. But there is a bit of rumored possible rain in 30 minutes. Possible. Let's see how long they can run the tyres. Let's take a look at the grid, though, of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series for round 3 at Messina. Brandon Kruger will lead out the pack, with Dean Norkia running in 2nd place. Herman Provical running in 3rd, along with Daniel De Villiers in 4th place. Johan Buchnoot running in 5th, with Christoph Peterson, our international driver, running in 6th. Pierre Bukes will be running out in 7th, along with the likes of Jean Verviers. Chris Collison will be in 9th for the Stinger Racing. Rounding out our top 10 will be Jason Farmer. Ruben van der Walt and the Pandacities will be going and making their way through. The Angry Pandas looking to make an impact here tonight, with Henry Platt chasing them down. Doen van Skalkbeek running in 14th, with Richard van Heerden. Sorry, this is Doen van Skalkbeek that is running, and this is Jeffrey LaRue. That was before. So it's Henry Platt, Jeffrey LaRue, and the likes of Doen van Skalkbeek. Rich van Heerden a little bit further down in 15th. 16th is Chris Biermesser, along with Henk Pieterse. And then we've got Mkundo, who is retiring by the looks of it. That's not very good. Rappel going and running in 18th. Brandon Santos in 19th. Sheldon Augustus running in 20th. So it does look like we have one car that is getting sorted out, and that is Mkundo having to get himself going. Paul Fenter.
Paul Fenter is in the pits.
Yes, so Paul Fenter with a disconnect, reconnect, and it looks like Mkundo as well going to be starting from pit lane. That is a big impact to both drivers on how this is all going to go. 45 minutes is not a lot of time to scream your way up through the field, and considering this is a combination of our AM, Pro-Am, and Pros all put together, you have got varying levels of difficulty going in. This is essentially the Dark Souls grid. You might think you've gotten past that first health bar, but then you hear the beautiful orchestra come in and you watch a bigger health bar start to fill up. But Dino Kier lines himself up in 2nd place. Brandon Kruger in 1st as they make their way down towards the final corner for round 3 of the RaceFace GT3 Sprint Series here at Messina. Herman immediately onto the back, trying to egg Brandon Kruger on a little bit forward, 70 kilometers an hour. But if you can't get the jump, you got to take it. Lined up, ready to go, rolling start, lights on, lights on, lights on as we wait for the green. Lights off and away we go, and Brandon the Santos immediately gets a drive-through penalty, but it's Dean Norkia with the jump off the line, getting a huge launch. Brandon Kruger then sweeps on by, retaking the 1st place, and the likes of Daniel De Villiers getting past Herman, now trying to squeeze him out a little bit, has done so. Herman now backing off the throttle, suddenly has Christoph Peterson and the likes of Johan Buchnoot trying to have a look at him, and both going and getting a bit unsteady, with Buchnoot getting one pass done, tries to go up on the inside, couldn't quite get it to work out, and will settle in behind the Honda for now. Herman struggling to keep the big mighty Mustang at bay, and the twin-turbo V6 of the Honda could not quite compete against the naturally aspirated V8 of Buchnoot, and it looks like Christoph Peterson with his naturally aspirated V8 in terms of the Merc trying to have a good go at him as well. So there's going to be some tough racing out there. Dino Kier keeping the pressure on Brandon Kruger, as with his teammate Daniel De Villiers going and playing a little bit of backup, not going on the attack here, would rather pull his way around and keep in for the fight. And this is absolutely phenomenal. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd on top of one another. Then you got 5th with Herman, Christoph, and Claire Bukes chasing each other down. They are making a big bit of headway, and Claire unfortunately runs out a little bit wide. Henry Platt dealing with Jeffrey LaRue from Skalkbeek. Brandon Santos has got Richard van Heerden, who looks on the inside, going side by side. Maybe a beautiful pass if he can get it all tucked up. Unfortunately, the left-hander going and giving it to Brandon Santos. Richard having to be a little bit more cautious. Look for the inside though, and not going to be too concerned just as yet. Chris Buemerser with Sheldon the Gus, Henk Petersen and Rattel busy chasing down, but Brandon Santos not having an easy time out there, will sit and wait for his time. Paul Fenter back out on track, Macondo as well rejoining the circuit. Bit of a crazy start as we do see Dinok here looking for the inside of Brandon Kruger, look for the outside, couldn't get the drive, and now both running off circuit as well. Tian, it's been crazy out there, and now we're starting to see teammates having a go at one another. Thoughts on the race thus far?
Thus far, it's been great. They need to just watch out for the track limits. I mean, it's very easy to get a time penalty, and with that comes a drive-through penalty. And we both know this bit is extremely long, so it's going to be insane. They need just to focus, and I see Brandon and Norkia, they're on each other, and we might expect a move in the first few laps.
Kruger and De Villiers having a go, and then we have got Dinokir and Blichnote going at each other, so two teams having a bit of a difficult time. What do you think of Brandon Santos though, getting that drive-through penalty on the start of the race? And how do you get a drive-through penalty on the start of the race? I mean, you haven't even gone green, and bang, the COC already handing out that penalty to you.
So unfortunately, it's very easy to get a drive-through in the start. So for the limit, you are 70 kilometers per hour. If you exceed that before the green flags or green lights, you instantly get a drive-through, and that's unfortunate, but it's the reality. And as I see, he just went in pits to service.
Christoph Peterson and Jason Farmer coming to blows, and Jean Verveers as well getting involved in that bit of contact. Sorry to jump in there, but we have had a monster accident. Let's quickly take a look. This is the likes of Jean Verveers, and we have got it's Jason Farmer, Verveers, and it looks like we got one of the Stinger Mustangs. Oh man, that's Chris Collison turning Christoph around and landing up with the couple of cars getting hurt in the process, and Chris Collison gets it wrong and is turned round by Agallis, who turns around. Sheldon gets turned around on the fight as well. It is all going wrong for the 222 of Chris Collison. What on earth happened to him? So he had unfortunately a big lunging McLaren, the number 27, catching his rear wheels there, and that's Jeffrey LaRue. He was stationary, and unfortunately Sheldon, with a bit of understeer coming into play, gets into the side of him, turning him around. So definitely a bit of rough racing out there. A couple of drivers not going to be too keen on how their race has gone thus far, and sorry to jump in there.
No problem. But just to finish it off, you need to be in a straight line on the grid slots. If you're too far right or too far left, you also easily get the drive-through. It's unlucky because usually you want to move a bit left, move a bit right, just to see the marshal's flags and see when the race actually starts, and it's just unlucky for him. Some people can push the limits a bit more because not all cars are equally wide, so it's just unlucky.
Brandon Kruger, big change up for the lead. Brandon Kruger into the dirt and is down into 5th. That is the leader of the race. Had De Villiers on his tail, and it looks like Kruger got it all wrong in a matter of seconds. The Mustang looking pretty balanced, tried to make its way around. Did the rear kick out a little bit? No. Slight bit of contact between De Villiers and Brandon Kruger. Turned the car a little bit, and that was all she wrote, to throw him down into 5th place. Ouch. Big turn of events there. That does put the likes of De Villiers out in first, who now has the likes of Blichnote getting past him. Blichnote goes for the send. Dean Norkier goes for the send. Gets the pass done and dusted. Daniel De Villiers now going to be losing out yet another position after going wide. We'll have Herman all over the back of him. And Brandon Kruger, who, well, much like your MMOs, has not forgotten and will remember what has happened. So this is a beautiful one. So going back to what you said in terms of moving left and right, there is an old saying is, oh no, Herman's lost the rear and he is down the order. Just as we were getting back to the conversation, Herman now down the order. So quick one for anyone out there in the world of karting and in the world of rolling starts, you'll always hear the term, you keep to your tram lines. In other words, you have got lines on the circuit, which would be the pit boxes that you follow, being left and right, so you're not getting to the center of the field. So that is running. De Villiers lets on by Brandon Kruger as a bit of, sorry bud for the earlier contact. Despite having lost a few positions, hats off to him on that for giving a bit of room. Herman, on the other hand, going to be swearing as he's down in 9th position with 10th Henry Platt. Van Skolkvik making up a bit of ground. Richard Van Eerd, a little bit of contact between himself and Christoph Peterson. Jason Farmer also getting involved into the fight there. This is incredible racing, but once again, Tian, this is showing there isn't a lot of room to go for an overtake, purely on the fact of the circuit is just windy the whole way through and you're needing to just play a follow the leader.
Yeah, the nature of the circuit, it's hard to overtake. It's much like tracks like Monaco, and even like they raced on last week, Monza. There's a lot of braking zones, but high speeds at the exits. So it's hard to gain and be close when you need to be. So what do you think about the high speed corners and turning into hairpins? How are they going to manage that?
Well, I think at this point it's a lot of balance and a lot of good luck, and so far the drivers have been showing exactly that, keeping it some close racing. Christoph Peterson onto the back of Richard Van Eerd and Van Skolkvik going a little bit more on the defensive side, trying to lock up and protect his position. Currently running in 11th, while Henry Platt just ahead of him, starting to open up the gap. This is the closest fight currently on circuit as they fight their way around the circuit. Absolutely incredible stuff. But I do see Brandon Santos at the back of the field still going, might I add, despite the drive-through. Well done to him. Ocando out on track still. He's giving it everything. He's got Chris Collison down in 20th, and 19th is Paul Fenter going and rejoining. He had to start from pit lane. Chris Biermester in 18th. So there's some really, really good competitors out there. I have got the very good question though. Brandon Kruger, Dean Nokia. Tian, I know we're not really gambling folks here in terms of laying down a huge amount at this point, but what do you think? Brandon Kruger, Dean Nokia, Luchtnout or De Villiers? Pick one that's going to win this race.
This race, it looks to the favor of Jan Bluchnout at the moment. Don't know what he's doing.
By the end of the race, if you have to put 100 rand on one winner, who are you going to pick? Putting you on the spot.
Bluchnout.
Bluchnout. Okay, Ford Mustang. Right, now this is interesting. Virtual Grandstand will also have an opportunity to go and say what they go for. But Yellow Flags is coming up for the 44, and that was Herman once again landing in a bit of a problem. Now, let's take a look at what happened to Herman in the little Honda. Remember, he lost out a lot of time heading into turn 1, dropped down to 9th, and the rear stepping out on liftoff. That is a liftoff oversteer, throws him down into 14th position, taking him out of the race. Van Skolkvik runs out a bit wide, and Rich Van Eerd gets a pass. Oh, contact between Christoph Peterson and Van Skolkvik, as likes of Van Skolkvik trying to turn back into the corner. Jason Farmer instantly capitalizing on it. Says thank you very much for the Griffin Sim Racing, and gets the hammer down as quick as he can. Brandon Kruger on the back of Dean Nokia, fighting it out as well. This is for second position on circuit, so we have got fights up and down through the field. It's getting wild through it all, and gotta say, gonna be a incredible time out there. Brandon Kruger still fighting it out. Bluchnout 3.3 seconds ahead, but once again, I do think our virtual grandstand might disagree on your choice, or might agree on your choice of the winner being Bluchnout by the end of this race. 33 minutes to go though, lots of time in the race, lots of time for mistakes or for advantages to be pulled out of the bag. I mean, this is going to be a proper run. Brandon Kruger still keeping on Dean Nokia, going and giving everything he's got as we look off the rear wing of the PWSR Ferrari 296. And once again, beautiful coloration on it. Simplistic in its design, but not as good as Herbie, as Alan has once done before. Dean Nokia, though, you could see running out a little bit wide and brings a slight cutback compared to Brandon Kruger, who runs it out a little bit wider, trying everything he can. Brandon Kruger carrying a lot of speed through the last corner as we jump on board with him. De Villiers in the mirrors, though, is a viable threat. So currently, Nokia is helping De Villiers get closer and closer. And side by side, oh, what on earth? That was a big bit of contact between the two, fighting it out. My heavens.
De Villiers, he would be capitalizing on the mistakes of Ben Kruger. It's been... How does that happen?
Wow, oh wow. So De Villiers has an opportunity here. Kruger and Nokia coming to blows while we are on board. Let's quickly get an aerial cam of that because we didn't quite see what happened. We're in car. So this is an aerial cam of the incident. Following in tow, giving it everything it got. Kruger's got the straight line, goes to the right hand side. Oh man. A little lean on the cross from Dean Nokia. I think he was trying to close the door and also make the corner. And unfortunately, that landed up in a monster impact with them. And the loser of that whole fight landed up with Nokia down the order. Not an ideal sort of play for it. He's currently got Rich Van Heerden on the back of him. His tires are going to be screaming their guts out as he's trying to get that pressure back into play. Richard now has an opportunity to go on the attack. Brandon Kruger also got fouled up. He's got De Villiers on his tail. And once again, pair of Bukes. Remember I said to you, caution, this is a driver you want to keep a close eye out on. And so far he's showing exactly that. Jason Farmer gets ahead of Van Skalkwyk. Christoph Peterson straight lining for the Skalkwyk after they were fighting it out side by side. Going to look for the outside line and couldn't quite get it all sorted out. Jason Farmer will be more than happy to defend his position as they fight their way through. Side by side they go. Christoph Peterson trying to get the run. Jason Farmer on the right hand side, not able to get as much momentum needed to try and keep ahead. He's hoping to hold the apex though. On the brakes, a little bit of a slide out on the 296, but beautifully keeps it together. Richard Van Heerden, Henry Platz, and Dean Nokia, who unfortunately ran out wide. Now trying to play a little bit of catch up on the way through. I mean, that is a big one. We'll leave it to the stewards to make the call there. But definitely not ideal circumstances for Dean Nokia. Now running in 10th position. It's all about consistency. Tian, I've got to ask, while we're taking a look at these drivers absolutely flying out, what can a driver do to try and bring those tire pressures down in terms of heat and pressure that are just have skyrocketed after a spin on a very dry circuit? I mean, it's 28 degrees on that track.
Okay, so depending on the track conditions, if there's a bit of standing water off the racing line, you might want to move a bit to the left or to the right on the straights just to cool it down. Otherwise you can brake a bit earlier or just have a bit slower corner speed. I mean, reduced sliding is all that you need to bring down the tire pressures.
And in the dry like this, where would you put it?
In the dry like this, for me, in corners where I have to turn and brake at the same time, you might don't want to do that. You might brake in a straighter line, such as the corner Henry Platt just went through. And after the straight, the fast right-handers, the 1, 2 and 3, there's a direct braking just after that. That's where you need to be slower and just easy on your car.
Absolutely. So a bit of a pro advice coming in from Tian Nieloff on what to do. Jason Farmer needing some pro advice to deal with Christoph Peterson. Both know each other rather well, and so far Jason Farmer, the Griffin Sim Racing, doing a beautiful job pulling it all back together. Van Skalkwyk dealing with Herman at the moment. The Apex Tyson's Racing going and showing off what he can do, but just can't get the pass on the Pandacity Porsche. We've seen Van Skalkwyk has made this Porsche as wide as possible for the last couple of laps. It is on a huge huge run. So, I mean, this is going to be a really, really tough one for it all. Jason Farmer, Dean Nokia, Sheldon Gullis losing out to Paul Fenter on the way through as well. So Sheldon now needing to make up some time. I do suspect he's still carrying a little bit of damage on his car from earlier on in the race from his previous contacts. That is going to be taking a little bit of top end off his car. So, getting some reports down from our virtual grandstands, we've got the likes of Bego Krobler, a former steward here at the likes of RaceFace and pro driver in both iRacing and ACC. Going and taking a look at the rulebook, which is really fantastic. Bumper was level, straight line racing, and sweeps are in the rulebook racing incident. So good to see a bit of ones there. I do think that would have been it. It's a bit of an unfortunate one, looking at the nature of the corner, where the two cars were positioned. There's no way of getting around it. Unfortunately, a car does need to go right, and the car does need to be on the right-hand side as well. So both drivers will leave it there. So we'll let the stewards go to it, but I am leaning to what our virtual grandstand are going and putting out. But once again, we're not the stewards. We're going to leave it to the guys that have the hard job on it. Big shout out to our stewards there. Jason Farmer and Christoph Peterson fighting it out with 12th and 11th place. Jason Farmer trying to get that climb and do everything he can. So, I've got a question for you, Tia. Who do you think has gained the most positions in this race thus far?
Yo, it's a close one, but LIVERIES is definitely on the top of the list for me at the moment. I'm looking at the timetables now, and he's not far off Beekers. He's just 4 seconds, and that's one mistake. So LIVERIES is the number one for me.
Well, I can tell you, he's actually part of the lower one of it. The one that's gained the most. The one that's gained the most. Richard Van Heerden started in 16th place. He's up into 8th, gaining 8 positions during the course of this race. Second to that is Jeffrey LaRue, sitting with 7 positions gained, 14th, and now in 7th. Rowan van der Walt with 6 gains, as he's lying in 6th, started in 12th. Johan Blicknote started in 5th, is now up 4 positions along with Henry Platt. And like so, Mosiga Oriental of Team RJN going and putting himself up. He's up 4 positions, and Sheldon as well. So those are currently our biggest gains in the race. Chris Coddleson being the biggest loss of it, down 10 positions since the start of the race. Herman trying to have a look at Van Skolkweg, couldn't quite get the pass done, but it is Gerrit Bucus up against the likes of Daniel, the Hitman de Villiers. This is going to be interesting though. Daniel is synonymous in putting in some rocket defense. Gerrit, on the other hand, has been that wild card. Once again, coming into the show and really knocking on a few doors to ensure he can take the fight and wanting to go for the top 3 positions. He's really leaning into it, but got de Villiers to get on by to try and make his way through. At current though, Johan Blicknote leads out the packs, 5.3 seconds. Brandon Kruger, 2nd place. Daniel de Villiers, Gerrit Bucus, along with Jean Verveers, Rowan van der Walt, Jeffrey LaRue, Richard Van Heerden down in 8th place, but is 0.4 of a second and is looking at Jeffrey LaRue, along with Henry Platt, Dean Nokia, Christoph Peterson, Jason Farmer, Van Skolkweg down in 13th, with Herman keeping the pressure up. Both having a little bit of pink and purple on the car, lovely to see, along with Henk Petersen, Oriental down in 16th, 17th Paul Fenter, Sheldon in 18th, 19th is Chris Biermesser, Chris Collison, and Macondo in 21st, and 22nd, Brandon DeSantos. So a couple of drivers out there. Oh, we have got another bit of contact. Dean Nokia, and it looks like Christoph Peterson coming to blows. The 111 and the 7 running into a bit of a problem. Let's quickly take a look from our helicam, get a bit of insight of what happened. So Dean Nokia leading out ahead of Christoph Peterson. Christoph in the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. Oh, lost the car on the curbing and just landed up like a bowling ball into the back of Dean Nokia's car. And that will be carting him down the order as well. Not ideal circumstances, but nothing you can do when you suddenly become a passenger in your own vehicle, as they really go and do it. This take a look at this. Let's go on board with the likes of Christoph Peterson. All going well. Puts a wheel off wrong. This is where he's loss of grip and just snapped. Under braking. Bang! And unfortunately, Dean Nokia just needing to be that little bit further up the road might have been safe. Unfortunately, it did not turn out to be his lucky day. Oh. My heart goes out to Dean at this point. I mean, you've had a race that is just going all types of wrong. Christoph Peterson runs out wide, Paul Venter catching up to him, and Ora Atl going and having a great drive as well, now making up a bit of time. Oh, I mean, that's heartbreaking. There's not much you can do in the whole thing. And Tian, your thoughts on that whole incident of just the car snapping on you?
Unfortunately, I know exactly how that feels. It's very easy to let the car snap on you, and once it snaps, you're just a passenger. So for a driver, where it usually happens for me, in my case, you shouldn't be hard on yourself. It's too easy to do, actually. Yeah.
Well, Dean Nokia getting the pass on Henk Pearson and Van Schalkwyk, who landed up in the weeds. So Dion is now making a bit of time. But Brandon Kruger, big news there. Track limits exceeded. Drive-through penalty for Kruger. It is not turning into his lucky time. Blicknote will run away. De Villiers will be licking his chops to here and Kingdom Come. So will Gerrit Bukes at the moment be going and saying thank you very much on that. Kruger will be dropping out of the top 5. Rich Vanier getting the pass done and outbrakes himself by a million miles, and has Jeffrey LaRue retaking his position after that run. Van Schalkwyk trying to deal with Peterson, who runs out a bit wide, and we'll have Paul Venter having a good go back to him. But Tian, it is all about tears for Brandon Kruger. Yet another race not going the way he wanted.
I'm feeling bad for him, because he will not be dropping just outside of top 5, but we're looking at maybe 12th, 13th place, where he might be battling against Nokia again. So unlucky. It's very easy to do also, unfortunately. But Daniel De Villiers will not be crying about that. He will be licking his lips off for that.
That's it. Licking his chops, saying thank you very much. Those Easter eggs have come early, and it has an opportunity. Still got a lot of pressure though. Don't count out the like of Gerrit from the Stinger Racing. Once again, been keeping consistent pressure on it. Oh, Jason Farmer losing the rear of his car and is now trying to get himself sorted out. Brandon Kruger going and fighting it out with De Villiers. The two of them going side by side. This does help out the likes of Blicknote. And I think Kruger at this point is going defensive against De Villiers to fight it out and provide a little bit of a buffer zone. But also, this will feed likes of Gerrit. So Brandon Kruger, not in for the fight. Doesn't want to get off the gas. He's in every right to hold track position. He's in every right to do so. But he's got to be very cautious on this approach, not to foul up too much. Oh, that it drops into things like nefarious tactics, which he doesn't. He lets De Villiers earn the spot in that. So very well done. Great racing. As we see Brandon Kruger into the pits, that has helped out the likes of Blicknote and also Gerrit Bukes trying to make up the ground as well. Rich Vanier is now 7th and 8th, having a good go at one another. I mean, this is going to be a proper run between it all, with 19 minutes and 18 seconds left of this race. And there's still much to go on. Rowan van der Walt going and putting the wheel wrong, down in 6th position, trying to get himself back up and going. So having a difficult time out there, as we do see the likes of Kruger would be tumbling down the order as he does that just absolutely slow drive that just eats you alive through the likes of our pit lane. A not ideal situation on his part, as whoa, that was that Christoph Peterson, or was that Paul Venter that disappeared into oblivion? I don't think it was Paul Venter. That might have been Henk Peterson that went straight on and lost out. So we do have Jason Farmer in the pits, Sheldon in the pits, and Macondo has pulled into the pits as well. This is an interesting turn of events because I haven't seen any damage to their cars. Do you think tires may have been the issue for that?
It's hard to say. I haven't done dry laps yet, so they will know
there
much
we
more.
go. There we go. As we look at Chris Beermister, look on the front windscreen. Drip, drip, drop coming down. Grip levels are about to get insane out there. So we're going to have greasy conditions, Tian, looking at this. What is your take to this? I mean, do you stick it out on the slicks and turn your TC up, but seeing the cars sliding out now that we've got a little bit of rain starting to come down?
Depends. I see the track status has gone from optimal to just fast, and fast is not really that fast. So for them, it's the big decision now. Do they change tires? Do they stick it out with the slicks? Because as you've seen, as Kruger knows, it's a long pit and you lose a lot of time. And will you be able to make up that time by adding wets, or will you lose more time sticking it out on slicks? It's a hard decision to make for them. So they might want to look at drivers who has already pitted and then make the decision of that.
Beermister off into the weeds again, not finding that grip. Paul Fenter on the back of Brandon Kruger as the windscreen wipers guard. Now, what people can do to try and help out in these conditions, especially in these greasy conditions, you're going up on your traction control. You have your traction control works in two ways, gain and slip. Gain is your forward and back motion, but basically when you accelerating and braking forward and back, and slip is your left and right. By working with your traction control, you can move things around. Another little thing that the drivers will be adjusting is brake bias and ABS to ensure that there's no lockup as well, just to try and keep themselves going in these trickier conditions out on slicks. But for how long is the worry? I mean, we're at 16 minutes left of this race. It is still a lot of racing to be had, and it's very easy in these conditions to blink once and suddenly be staring at a tire wall. Tian, I mean, this is conditions that we love to see, the mixed conditions coming into play. But for those that banked on coal on the warmer side, do you think they're regretting going to a more dry setup versus a hybridized setup?
It's a close call because the first part of the race was dry, but you mentioned the traction control and ABS settings you change to make it easier and more stable for you. Another thing that will be changing is the lines. So everybody have to adjust their lines because suddenly no longer you can brake on the curbs and you can't accelerate on the curbs and you can't rely on there being grip. As we have seen a few people going wide under the braking zone, especially on about turn 9. So they need to change the lines, adjust to it as quickly as possible, and then you can maybe gain on opponents that struggle to adjust.
I mean, this is going a bit wild. A couple of cars that are going to be thriving out in wet conditions. We've seen them before. Daniel De Villiers in the Nissan GT3. For some odd reason, Nissan has built this car to work. I mean, Godzilla does live in the ocean and is more than happy with getting a bit of wet behind the ears. De Villiers, I think, lives in the ocean, and that's why he's able to handle these conditions, closing up a second to the likes of Blichnote. Blichnote's gap that was built up to 6 seconds with help of his teammate, now suddenly breaking down to 4.4 seconds. Do you think this is reason for concern for the likes of Blichnote at the moment, or do you think that the Mustang has still got enough gap? Also, how confident are you on your bet that you made earlier about that packet of chips of Blichnote going to be able to take the win of this race?
I'm starting to get a little bit sweaty, I'm not gonna lie. I've talked to Extreme Pro drivers earlier this week about which cars are fast in the wet, and the Mustang or the Ford wasn't on the list. It is the Honda was really good, and the Nissan, which is catching Blichnote by a half a second now. So I'm glad I didn't gamble. I'm glad I didn't gamble. Really put the 100 rand, because this is going to be close.
That packet of chips comes in play. Jason Farmer pulling into pit lane. Looks like he's going to be getting some work done, possibly changing onto some wet weather tires. Looking at the car. Hopefully he can get that car back out onto the track for the Griffin Sim Racing team. Rich van Heerd keeping the pressure on Rowan van der Walt now. Rich van Heerd coming in against Rowan van der Walt of the Pandacity. And it looks like we're going to also see a battle between McLaren versus Ferrari. Very, very interesting. See how those two are going to go. Jeffrey LaRue in the McLaren against Henry Plus in the good old reliable Aston Martin. We have seen over the course of many, many years has been really well done. And around the outside, gets past Jeffrey LaRue, who pulls into the pits to go and get himself sorted out. I do think he's opting to go for wet weather tires there. But still, to go around the outside is a huge, huge gamble, especially in these conditions. Paul Fenter onto the back of Brandon Kruger. Brandon now into the top 10. Has Paul Fenter having a good look at him? How is he going to get by? Will there be the switch between Brandon Kruger and Paul Fenter? That is definitely a joke towards the sponsor there, but gotta add a bit of fun. Rowan van der Walt, on the other hand, learned what the Pandacity falling out of the tree landed up. The Pandas going and landing up with a bit of a spin. Lost out some time, now has Henry Platt onto the back of him. Grip levels starting to disappear. And Tian, I know you've got the weather open. You're communicating with our weatherman out there. What is this track starting to look like? We've gone from 28 degrees, extremely hot and dry conditions, to now it's starting to come down a little bit, and the grip levels out on the circuit aren't looking so great.
You can definitely see the difference in the track status. I mean, it was optimal not long ago. It's greasy now, which means it can be up to 3-4 seconds a lap slower. And as Blighnout is finding out, De Villiers is catching him almost a second a lap. That's my main focus right now. You can see I'm taking back my bet slip. This is going to be a close one.
Well, De Villiers on a great charge. Looks like he's managed to shake the likes of Kerry Bukes. Rowan van der Walt and Henry Platt having a good go at one another as they duke it out throughout this race. It's going to be a very, very close fight all the way through. I don't think any of us can call who is going to be where at this moment of time. Jason Farmer back out onto the circuit. I do venture the guess he towed after a bit of an impact with the wall, but he has got some wet tires, so good to see him back out there. 2 times in the pits though, definitely not an ideal circumstance for them in the running. Christoph Peterson with Van Skalkwyk going just ahead of him as they fight it out for 12th and 13th position, tiptoeing around the circuit. No longer drivers slamming on the anchors, slamming on the throttle, and just really giving it the absolute all. This time round, everyone a little bit more patient in their moves, a little bit more cautious on this run. So going to be a huge, huge race indeed. I do think first and second maybe getting a lot closer than we thought. Lucas managing to make his way around one of our McLarens, and that looks to be the 27 car of Jeffrey LaRue, who they managed to sneak around. And Jeffrey trying to keep it all together is on wet weather tires. He did the tire change and is just now trying to make his way around the circuit without getting compromised. So far though, we have got all the way down from 1st to 16th that have kept on the same set of tires as they started with, whether it is dry, whether it is wet. Jason Farmer getting a little bit out of shape. Riettel going and running in 15th position, keeping it all together. That's great to see that. A new driver, new name, going and having a absolute run through it all. Christoph Peterson, and we'll have Van Skalkwyk going and battling it out. I mean, this is going to be a proper run through it all. And with these wet conditions, Van Skalkwyk will be having a chat. Oh, as we see Brandon Santos with the drive-through penalty. Christoph Peterson on the inside. The Porsche stuck on the outside, not able to get the drive. And Christoph Peterson gets the pass. Van Skalkwyk will be radioing in to the team captain of the sim racing side of Pandacity saying, Werner Skuman, what do I need to do here to ensure I can get as much grip as possible? Werner will be definitely going back to the book, because so far we have seen sometimes brakes not quite working in the world of iRacing in wet weather racing. He's had some rough luck out there when conditions just haven't been the greatest. But he's trying. He's definitely trying. Can't take it away with some of the racing out there. I mean, the Gen 3 Supercar is never an easy thing to grab and keep going at a rate of knots. Blichnote though and De Villiers, 2.1 seconds separating them in this race. Life is getting very interesting for first and second. Brandon Santos serving his drive-through penalty, the second drive-through penalty in this race. One was at the start for being out of position. 2 is for just being off circuit. I mean, this is getting into a bit of painful territory there, but Blichnote now seeing De Villiers 1.6 seconds and gaining. This Nissan GTR is on rails and fighting it out. 7 minutes to go. Mustang Nissan. This is going to be a huge tussle for first place. De Villiers looking to stretch his gap in the championship. Blichnote is now trying to fight it out to remain on the top step after seeing Kruger land up down the order, and Dean Nokia. They're running 9th and 10th. So some new names and new faces coming to the top of the grid. Thoughts on this, Tian, considering these are competitors you normally duke it out with, and knowing how both are drivers?
So, Gerrit Bekes should be still focusing on it. Johan Blichnote and De Villiers are almost certainly going to have a battle at some point. And it's one mistake and then he's still up for P1. We've seen contact between drivers and it's not intentional. It's just, it's hard to keep your car under control under this condition. So Bekes, he's still in the run for it, such as Viviers and Vanier. So the top 6 is still up for the win for the race.
Well, so far, De Villiers has nursed this car quite well and is 0.8 of a second on the back of Blichnote. Blichnote watching that rearview mirror and will be fighting it out. It is Godzilla versus the giant bald eagle going and fighting it out. And Blichnote holding it inside line, switches to outside, gets a bit of a bait and switch. Immediately has the likes of Daniel De Villiers go and swap around. Side by side they go. May have worked out. The Nismo GTR will be having a bit of fun here. The big old Nissan runs out wide, trying to pull it back. Blichnote defending the inside line and is doing everything. This is elbows, knees and toes, and whatever can go out will be fighting. And in these rainy conditions, which I'm sure have gone from greasy to wet out there on the track, Tian.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting now, because the long back straight offers a big slipstream. And ooh, De Villiers was close to Blichnote now in the braking zone. But they need to focus now, because Bekes will be on it, because they're wasting time battling now. And I'm sure they will be for the next 5 minutes of the race, and it's also the last 5 minutes, so there's nothing to lose for him. So he'll be on it. Well,
Blichnote trying to open up that gap. De Villiers closing up, under braking, keeping it all together. Henry Platz, Herman Previkel, and Dean Nokia are on the back of one another with Brandon Kruger and Paul Fenter. So we have got fights starting to develop everywhere in the remaining 4 minutes and 25 seconds of this race. Blichnote trying everything, hammer and tongs at this point, to stay in for the fight, to keep going in a monstrous effort against De Villiers, who at this point is really stepping up pace. De Villiers has so far been faster than Blichnote every single lap since this rain has started. But now it's come down to this as Blichnote gets a little bit unsteady, not able to get the power down as quick as he would like, but he wants to get going as fast as possible. I mean, Blichnote, race 1, 22nd position. Race 2, 6th. A win here is a big boost to the confidence for De Villiers. This win means he opens up the championship, because he currently leads it, and he is really throwing hammer and tongs it for the inside, trying to get it all sorted out. Not quite able to get the drive just as yet. De Villiers is hanging on for dear life. Oh, contact! Contact between De Villiers and Blichnote. That has spun them round. They're able to get going, but Blichnote gets the jump, gets going. 1.3 seconds with De Villiers, and Gerrit is 3.7 seconds on the back. Dino Kier having a look at Herman. They're going to go side by side. We did see contact in this last corner. These two, not any contact. Dean gets a pass of Herman. Brandon Kruger gets stuck behind, not able to make it up. But wow, oh wow, it is nerve-wracking. This is nerve-wracking. 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Blichnote De Villiers. This is going to go for it. Chris Beermister, though, with a drive-through penalty in the last 2 minutes of this race, has now gone and thrown himself down the order as well, because regardless of where he finishes, he's going to land up in 22nd position after just gaining 20th over Macondo. I mean, this race is just falling apart at the seams, Tian.
Yeah, nothing is predictable. I'm glad I didn't gamble, because you're looking at De Villiers and Blichnote. They had a clash, and as I mentioned earlier, Beekes is still in this, and he just got a bigger smile now, because he's only 3.4 seconds off them. And De Villiers and Blichnote are on each other now, just on the back straight, so let's see if he makes a move, because we know the slipstream is hectic, but the Ford is also very fast on the straight line. So yeah.
Well, how much power can you put down in these conditions? I mean, you've got a brute force V8, and you've got a turbocharged V6. Oh, contact again! Contact a third time, and Blichnote just getting ahead of De Villiers. I mean, De Villiers is giving him the room, saying, oh, listen, sorry for the contact, but our hearts can't take it, folks. Our hearts can't take it. For Fears has got Richard van Heerd all on the back of him as well. Henry Platt and Dean Nokia, Herman Pavikel and Brandon Kruger all on one another. Brandon gets the pass on Herman. He's going to have to try and get past. Leaders on the final lap. This is it. Blichnote, De Villiers fighting it out. Chris Collison spun it out. The 222 now in 16th has spun it out on circuit. Yellow flags are there, but I have told Tim we have to see this to the end. Jason Farmer with a drive-through penalty for track limits exceeded. We are not changing away from this. We have to see the fight for first. I mean, this is going to be
It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
Oh, it's going to have to be a sin. De Villiers is going to have to go for it. No.
Or wait off till the straight. No, he's not. No, he's not.
He tried. He tried. De Villiers and Blichnote absolutely hammering it. This is what we love to see. Racing at its finest. Two drivers giving it the absolute horns. Dean Nokia lands up spinning. He's down into 11th position. He's lost out some drive. Loses out to Brandon Kruger, Herman, Paul Fenter, and fighting it out. So they're trying to make their way around. But it is De Villiers with only a couple of corners to go. Got the run. Blichnote leading it out. Will De Villiers get a little bit on the brakes early? He tries around the outside this time.
And he goes wide.
He goes wide. He goes wide. But it's not over. Take a look. Gerrit Buke's involved in the fight as well as they're going and coming towards the line. Blichnote hanging on for dear life, and I think has got holes in his steering wheel. De Villiers is sweating in buckets, and Gerrit Buke's, who tried everything to hang on to the end. It is Blichnote, De Villiers, and Gerrit coming across the line right
what
at the
a podium.
end. But Brandon Kruger, Henry Platt, and Sean likes of Herman still giving a chance. We still got fights going on. Chris Collison gets across the line. Jeffrey LaRue, I think Chris Collison actually ran on money. Hold on. Before we get into it, Herman has got Paul Fenter, 0.3 of a second. Oh, Paul gets it sideways, so does Herman as they come across the line.
He has it on. Did Paul Fenter lose fuel just before the line?
Paul Fenter is fine. That would have been Henry Platt. That would have been Henry Platt. No.
Did he lose fuel just before this? It wasn't 5 meters before the line.
Okay, well, we've just gone 10 seconds, and I could hear that engine slow. Let's go back 30 seconds. Let's go back 30 seconds and just, yeah. Second. Third. Ran out of fuel. Henry Platt ran out of fuel as he crossed the line.
That's terribly unlucky.
And that handed Paul Venter 9th, Herman 8th. What a run. Wow, oh wow. What a race!
Wow.
You can't
What a
even
race. And this is what we like. This is what we like. The unpredictability of it. I mean, Ben Krieger, Kreur, had a massive gain again. Dinoche also had gained a few places after his incident. You can't predict this. We love it.
Well, Tian, you sent me a message earlier today saying, listen, can I help out with commentary? Being in the box, you got to see all this. I mean, it's all fun racing, but let's be honest, sitting up here on the sidelines and see this race, absolutely wild.
Yeah, as a driver, you don't see all this. You're mainly focused on your main racing, and sometimes you don't even see stuff you miss yourself. And this just shows you how excellent the racing is here in the RaceFace. It shocked me.
Fantastic. Well, a couple of drivers going to be coming through, like the likes of Blicknote, Daniel De Villiers, and Gerrit Bukes. But we've actually got one driver to pull up and have a chat to, and that is going to be one of the drivers that actually got a bit of a climb at the end, Paul Venter. Paul, welcome to the commentary box. 9th place, right at the line, literally 10 centimeters at best. I mean, how are you feeling with that?
Well, I'm fucking screaming. I actually woke up my daughter. That, honestly, after starting the race, because the power went off at 7, and then I jumped on the generator, and the power came on as 25 seconds left, so I ran out, put the generator off, and when I switched it over to Eskom power, the internet had like a surge, and it just disconnected me out of fucking ACC. So, yeah, started from pit lane, swearing badly because it holds you for 30 seconds and it takes you 30 seconds to get out the freaking pit. So, yeah, but man, that was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Buried your foot through the floorboard and everything right at the last. Absolutely incredible, and a four-way battle to the end was just fantastic to see. We didn't get to catch all of it, but you will forgive us once you go and rewatch some of the racing that we had a close eye. But Paul, fantastic stuff on your part. Tian, anything you want to say to Paul or ask Paul before we let him go and enjoy the festivities and get his kid back to sleep? He's just woken up.
Yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah, how was the track conditions for you? And could you have predicted your setup, and what would you change if you know what you know now?
So luckily I have a wet setup for this funny half wet, not wet. Then I've got a completely dry setup. So I just loaded the dry setup and was like, let's go, boys. And the PSI's, I thumb sucked it and it was perfect and everything. And I was just glad it wasn't too horrific when the rain actually arrived. If this is what we get tomorrow, fantastic. I think that's going to make for a freaking awesome race if we have 60 minutes of freaking dry running, which will help me a lot, and then have 20 minutes of horrendous wet running, which will not help, but will make for a freaking awesome race. So yeah, if that's what we get tomorrow, this is going to be a barn burner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
If today was just what do you call it, a free trial, I can't wait for tomorrow's race. I'm taking part myself, so I wouldn't be here in a commentary with you guys, but I'm looking forward. This is going to be hectic.
Well, Tian, you've got your competition that you just went and interviewed. You got a little bit of a leg up of driving in the conditions you saw from an outside point of view. Paul, thank you very much for joining us. Anything you'd like to say to our amazing petrol heads out there, our amazing partners, Rhino Utility, Scallywags Drift Academy, Red Star Raceway, all being part of the RaceFace family. Anything you would like to say to your competitors? Keep it PG. There's kids. And also to the teams out there putting on a show. And the build-up of everything that's going on for 2025. I mean, we're getting some wild, wild things. For those that don't know, Logistical Nightmare Racing is actually running a interprovincial challenge in ACC. That's going to be running on a Sunday as well. So, and Paul's going to be the big boss of that and also getting in trouble of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. First off, as always, thanks to the sponsors, man. Without you boys, we can't do what we do, which is have fun and listen to Steven talk smack about us. And then just to everyone that rocks up to race, without you boys, there is no race. So, thanks for sticking around. Let's try and not kill each other consistently. And looking forward to everything that's coming up in the year. We'll probably have some big announcements dropping next week for what's happening in March, and then we've got the big ones that will happen a little bit later in the year. So absolutely excited, looking forward to it, and everyone gonna be getting their popcorn ready for absolute chaos and competitive racing. So yeah, see you all tomorrow night, and cheers.
Well, Paul, before you go, for anyone out there. It took 6 races thus far for 2025, and Paul Venter, after 6 races in 2025, successfully got a checkered flag. Well done, Paul. Great stuff.
I'll go have a cactus for that. Absolutely.
Paul Venter of Logistical Nightmare Racing in the Honda. Well, Tian, let's start bringing in the big names. Let's bring in the excitement, starting out with Gerrit Bukes, who absolutely stuck it in at the start and at the end worked his tail off to make up in the Mustang for Stinger Racing. Gerrit, Stinger Racing, what a race, first of all. You came out the box in qualifying as that proper joker card. Secondly, you got into the fight early on, racing with the competitors. It looked like you tapered off, and then at the end, it all fell apart at the seams, and suddenly you're involved, 0.8 of a second, chasing down second place. Take us through the race.
Yeah, guys. So I just want to apologize. Firstly, I had a little coming together there with Peterson, so apologies. And basically in the race, I was carrying 3 track cuts right from, let's say, about 10 minutes or so. So I was just basically consolidating, and I saw the 2 guys fighting in the front, and I thought maybe I should start pushing. But yeah, they were still too quick.
Regardless of that, quick or not, you still stuck it in there. You still put in the fight, which is starting to help out. We've seen you on the Thursday getting better and better and better. But Wednesdays, you seem to be on a more comfortable. You're running 3rd in the championship. You've just come 3rd. Peterson a little bit further down. Your thoughts now that you've scored a little bit more points, how's the confidence levels heading into the rest of the season of the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series?
Yeah, for the Sprint Series, there's a little bit more chance. I mean, the Pro class is basically everybody's just fast, so that's a little bit more tough. But for the Sprint Series, maybe. Let's see for next week, I might carry a little bit of a penalty. We'll see what the stewards does, and we'll take it from there.
Well, absolutely great racing. Before we let you go, though, and enjoy the celebrations with the rest of your team, anything you would like to say to our amazing partners out here at Red Star Raceway, to all the teams, competitors, and to the absolutely mental best petrol heads in the entire world that are out there in the virtual grandstands? I'm sure as you're rushing around the circuit, despite the changing conditions, you could see them out there waving the flags, getting excited, cheering you on. Anything you'd like to say out to everyone?
Yeah, first of all, the racing again by RaceFace is awesome. All the sponsors, you guys for commentating, my teammate for helping. Yeah, we'll take it from there and see how it goes.
Absolutely fantastic. Tian, any last closing thoughts from your side before we let Gerrit go and enjoy the Stingers racing? Because I think they are going to be throwing one heck of a party.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely had an eye on you. Let's say 10 minutes before the end of the race. We saw the likes of Jan Blighnout and Daniel de Villiers or Paul Venter battling out for P1. You saw a few incidents between them. Was there a moment where you thought I had a chance for P1?
Yeah, if they made such a big mistake the way they take each other out, yeah, maybe. But yeah, they did quite alright. So I did see there was a couple of bumps here and there, but not enough for me to take any advantage of that.
No, that's
Absolutely
good. It's a close one. All the guys that's racing tomorrow that didn't race tonight definitely have a benchmark. So that might even raise the competition a bit. So be
for sure.
ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gerard, thank you very much, and go and enjoy the celebrations. Congratulations to you,
Thanks, guys.
of Stinger Racing. Absolutely fantastic. Well, let's bring in second place, and I'm getting excited here because, man, oh man, is this going to be a chat and a half. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. Man, oh man, Daniel, the Scud missile of note with racing. Man, I'm sure you're sitting with a big smile on your face.
No, this was a very, very way aggressive driving I've done. It's, it's not right completely, but yeah, need to be more patient.
Well, yes, but this is a racing that we have seen you pull out the bag. But everything seemed to have changed. You were racing with your teammates. You saw the likes of Nokia falling away, Brandon Kruger falling away. He had a drive-through penalty, and you were racing him. You saw that you weren't going to get the position. You had to fight it out. Was there that moment of, come on, move, I need this, and knowing that you're getting held back a little bit, that sense of, oh, I want to send it as hard as I can?
Yeah, I don't know, Stephen. The plan always is to apply pressure when you can, where you can. I think that's the biggest tactic on the sprint race. Just apply pressure, and it will come to you. You will score out of it, as I can say. But yeah, sorry to Brandon for putting so much pressure on him and for the drive through. He gave me a message and said, no, 2 of his warnings were my fault. So yeah, I'll try my best tomorrow with the setup and apply better pressure and patience.
Apply more pressure, in other words.
Yes, be patient.
There we go. Be patient, but applying the pressure. But Daniel, when the rain started to come down, that Nissan came alive. Let's talk about it. Closing at a rate of knots. What happened? Was it just the flip of the switch that suddenly the car's working better? Was the setup built for the weather? What happened? Because you started gaining time closer and closer and closer to that P1.
Yeah, so Stephen, on these greasy conditions is what I've practiced for and built the setup around it. And then we got the surprise dry setup, dry track and everything, and I took a gamble of using the greasy setup that I made. And with luck, the rain came in after 30 minutes and the car just felt like it was much better than the dry as it was set up for. And luckily I get to caught Jan Blechnoot, but just that Mustang's a bit wide in some corners, eh? But yeah.
Well, Daniel, take us through last lap. I mean, we saw you going for it every single time, but that last lap, that moment, I'm sure the heart beating through the chest, the hands are molding the steering wheel at this point. Take us through the feeling of what was going on.
Stephen, I think it was 4 laps, eh? So maybe 4 laps ago, I applied pressure to Jan and thinking, okay, I'm going to get him this corner, and nope, it doesn't work. All right, then I tell myself, okay, next lap, then I'll get him on this corner, and then the next lap, okay, I'll get him on this corner, on the back straight, to get a good exit. I went so deep and pushed him off track, and I had to yield for that as well. And then I said to myself, all right, last lap, I'm going to get him. And I'm also on my last warning, so I can't push too much. And yeah, I just didn't have the pace at the end.
And landing up with Carrot Bukes chasing you down in the Mustang right at the end as well. I mean, it suddenly, you had 3rd place on your tail. I'm sure that didn't help in terms of, come on, give me a bit of a break here.
Yeah, I didn't look at the rearview mirror. I was just looking where I could pass you on, and it didn't work.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff. Tian Elof jumping into the commentary box, first time of the RaceFace history for him to be in the commentary side of things. Tian, this is your competition tomorrow night. Anything you would like to say to Daniel de Villiers on the absolutely mental race we saw?
Yeah, I mean, it was insane. No, it was insane. I mean, there's definitely pressure on drivers that didn't race tonight. like myself, to see the standard I have to get up to. But the racecraft of you and Johan Blichnout was insane, and I'm sure he understands the rough racing at the last. But it happens at the top level of racing, like Formula One in 2021. You can have a look at the drivers. So rubbing is racing, and I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. Let's see if I can match you guys.
Yeah, cool stuff. Can't wait. Can't wait.
Well, Daniel, before we let you go and enjoy the celebrations and get the sweat off your brow and catch your breath as well, anything you want to say to the amazing partners here at RaceFace.Pro, Rhino Utility, Scallywags, Drifting Academy, and Red Star Raceway, also to all your competitors and teams out there that have mounted the pressure on you, to even your own team. So as a competitor, anything you would like to say to them, keep it PG though, but you are allowed to add a bit of spice. I mean, we've heard it before. And to the amazing petrol heads, because I'm sure lap after lap you could see the support coming through from the grandstands, guys cheering on, standing up on their feet, just shouting from the rafters to see this Nissan GTR get across the line.
Yeah, Stephen, I want to say thanks to everyone hosting this event. You guys, Stephen, Tian, for the commentary, to the people there in the grandstand, the fans, as I can say, and the retired people, you know, that I see there on the comments. And yeah, to Alan for, you know, keeping this good team afloat and, you know, keeping up with our bullcrap, you know, as I can say. So yeah, and thanks to everyone on track. And for tomorrow, those that quali ahead of me, please start from the pit lane.
Well, we now know the score. Practice in the greasy conditions. Daniel de Villiers getting that second place for Messina round 3 of our RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series of PWSR. Well done, Daniel. Enjoy the celebrations. Yeah. Well, Tion, it's time for our final driver of the evening. And man, oh man, did he have to work. Not only combating against his own teammate, but got into an absolute dogfight at the end. That the kitchen sink was thrown, the fluffy dog was thrown, the computer was thrown, the steering wheel, the pedals, even the toilet brush. Anything could be a weapon at that point. Johan Blichnout taking the win tonight. Johan, how are you feeling after that? Because man, oh man, that was a race I don't think anyone could have planned for.
Hi, Steven. What's up, Dion? Yeah, the nerves are a bit going. I didn't think I'm going to end up in that position, but it worked out great.
You're sounding very calm for a person that has just taken the win after going through an absolute brawl. Let's take it back. Your season has been trying to assist teammates across the line for running out of fuel to Messina in the trickiest conditions that we have seen to date here in the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint Series for 2025. From dry conditions to greasy to wet conditions. Was there a bit of a concern at the start of the race, considering you qualified in the wet?
Yeah, I was hoping for a wet race. I was feeling confident with the setup, and then we got surprised with the dry track. So last minute I switched over to a dry setup, and as I seen everybody was battling, and I got a gap, and I said to myself, I need to build a gap now, because when the track starts to get damp or greasy, other cars might have a hybrid setup and they'll catch me quickly. And it worked, and Daniel was just an alien with that Nissan of his.
No, absolutely incredible stuff. And from your side, take us through those battles you had with de Villiers.
Yeah, it's first time I'm battling with a guy up top in the Pro Series. He did show me what it is like. It was tough, but we kept it clean, bit of rubbing, and I hope tomorrow night we can do it again.
It's going to be a good one. Now, I mean, Jan, you were running third in the championship coming into this race for the Sprint Series. this is going to be a wild run to the end. That's for certain, as next week will be round 4. Are you feeling positive? Because you may actually be a little bit further up the charts than what was originally planned.
Yeah, Zolder is a love-hate track, but I do have some more better days than worse days, I can say. But yeah, I'm focusing on this weekend's race before we move on ahead.
Fantastic. Well, we have just got reports from Hansi Myberg, and, well, I'm going to give you the breakdown in points here. Daniel de Villiers is in first place, 125 points. Gerrit now into second place with 98 points. Johan, you're in third, 92 points. I mean, 22nd in round 1, 6th in round 2, 1st in round 3. You're 92 points. Ron van der Walt running in fourth with 87 points. Christoph Peterson on 85 points. Brandon Kruger sitting on 77 points. This is provisional showing points, but that's a big one and a big jump. What's your thoughts, Ed?
Yeah, putting in the hours and it's paying out. Here this season to give the guys a run for the money. Last season I was here just to learn, and now it's just time to keep my head down and go forward.
Well, you definitely raised a few eyebrows, that's for certain. Tia Nilov is one of your competitors that will be racing with you tomorrow night, but tonight is one of your, well, commentators. Tia, anything you would like to say to Jan on his sterling defense he had tonight?
Yeah, definitely. No, awesome drive. I had my money on you. We thought 100 rand. There was a time where I started wondering if I should bet the money, but you pulled it off. When did you start seeing the threat of the man in P2?
As soon as the raindrops started coming down, I was like, let's see what times we are doing, and I saw no, my times are dropping and Daniel's just staying consistent, and he's
And
like 2 to 3 tenths faster than me.
If you can change anything from the start of the race, because what you know now, what would you change, strategy-wise?
I would definitely get some more front end on the car for turning in, because I started losing it through the corners, and then it's an oversteer situation, and that cost me a lot of time towards Daniel.
Do you think that's the main worry for you, because when the rain kept started falling down, did you change your line, racing line, or do you stick to it and have just trust in your tires?
Nah, I kept hitting on the curbs, and then for like 4 to 5 laps, and then as soon as I started feeling the rear coming out a bit, my engineer told me to do what Daniel does: keep off the curbs. He gets a better drive out of the corner, and yeah, I think that saved me.
No, that was definitely that was a great drive. Excellent defense to keep your P1 at the end, but it was a close one. I'm sure you would have liked it a bit more easy.
Yeah, they say the best battles comes out of the hardest situations.
That's also true. Steven Koenig, what do you think about this performance on this race?
Absolutely fantastic. Jan, fantastic stuff. Definitely you and Daniel deserve a chocolate milkshake, and we got to make a plan for that one. But Jan, before we let you go, anything you would like to say to our amazing partners here at RaceFace.Pro, also to all the competitors, teams, and families out there, but also the most important at any racetrack ever is the amazing petrol heads out in the grandstands that you saw standing and cheering and shouting from the rooftops, going and cheering you on. The floor is yours.
I just want to say thanks for RaceFace for hosting this event for us, and then the sponsors Scallywag, RaceStar Raceway, and Switch Energy, AOC, and Init for sponsoring the team and making it possible for us. And then most importantly, the petrolates in the stands. It's the guys that gives us the pressure from outside. And don't think we have it on track, but we keep going.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, Jan Blufnote, well done on your sterling defense. Go and enjoy the celebration. You earned it. And I think definitely need to go and pour yourself a chocolate milkshake for that after an incredible race. What a
I will do that.
Awesome stuff. Jan Blufnote, everybody coming in, giving his last little bit of thoughts. But Tian, that does bring us to the end of tonight. And honestly, what a race. From a turn of events from qualifying in the wet to dry to going back to wet, from side-by-side battles, our top runners getting switched over and over again throughout the entire field, that mix coming in, the dramatic finishes that we have seen from the top end of the field to the bottom end of the field. I mean, this, you can't even write a script on it.
No, it's unpredictable. I mean, we had people running out of fuel just before the line. We had weather changes that changed the structure of the race completely. Where we thought Johan Blugnout was going to just vanish, but we had a P2 driver catching him. It was too close. It was too close to call. And it's not just the P1, P2 guys who were battling it out. It was all the way to 26th place. And stuff like drive-through penalties and stuff definitely changed the face of the race. Which is, it's too much to handle for me for first time. But from a racing driver's perspective, seeing a full race, a full review, it's insane. We can't justify how good the racing is. The racing in the top two guys, incredible defense, catching little to no mistakes in the front runners, especially in the front runners. It's incredible. Something you shouldn't bet on is racing. I've learned that tonight. Anything can happen at any time. So I'm incredibly impressed.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, Tian, for first time out on the commentary here at RaceFace, congratulations. And I'm sure the crowd will be also saying exactly the same thing, considering from sim driver and real racing driver from the likes of F400 karting, done a little bit of commentary in the world of more of home stuff, but good to have you out here on RaceFace, and thank you very, very much for being one of our guests here at RaceFace.Pro in the commentary side. It's always fantastic to have you around, and the door is always open, but I'm going to leave you be to go and practice, because it looks like there's going to be some large amount of effort needed for tomorrow night in racing in the pros. And that reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, don't go anywhere. Tomorrow night, same time at 8:10, we will be going live in Pro and Pro-Am for our RaceFace.Pro GT3 Sprint, GT3 Championship. Our AM server is running as well, so 3 servers are running, 2 are being broadcasted. All the action to be in. The voice that you've heard tonight, Tia Nilov, will be racing in the Pro. Just Nerbs will be going and joining back on the microphone, delivering all the Pro-Am action, which will be all the nail-biting action out there. I'll be behind the mic for the Pro. You don't want to miss it. Going to be an incredible one. Big thank you to all our partners, Red Star Raceway, Scallywags Drift Academy, Rhino Utility for being a part of the show. A big shout out to all our for our admin and stewards that work behind the scene. Hunty Myberg, shout out to him for going and giving us provisional points so we can see what's happening and be able to drop that breaking news live on air. But congratulations to the drivers, the teams, the families out there. And most importantly, a big thank you to all you sitting in the virtual grandstand, coming in week in and week out, flying across the world with us to all these amazing locations and being a part of the show. It's absolutely great to have you. Go out on SimGrid as well. We do have Lamar Ultimate running this Sunday. It's not broadcasted, but means that you can still have a ton of fun in some multi-class action. You don't want to miss that out on SimGrid. Go and sign up. Free entries for all. It is going to be a wild, wild one. Tian, thank you so much for joining us. It was an absolute honor. Well, yet again, fantastic job. Really look forward to seeing what you can do coming and racing tomorrow night and getting back in behind the wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, like always, hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification icon. Leave us a like. Let us know what's your favorite part of the race. And also, please go ahead, follow the streamers of all the different drivers and teams out there. It's great to get their different points of view. You get to see the amazing excitement coming in from every single one of them. It's incredible. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night for some more racing for the RaceFace.Pro GT3 Championship. From Tian Elof, our pro driver, and myself, the world's fastest backmarker, Stephen Koenig, we would like to say thank you very much. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.